So, as in addition to the last video concerning the paintings, first of all, of course, now I'm dominated by sound. You hear, the heavy machines outside. This is the normal punishment for every something that I do, presumably wrong thing, like speaking or breathing. And as always, the punishment will be around the globe. And this is a good time to repeat in the 10th or 100th time the principle that was outlined so many times. Analysis of the paintings, specifically the two that I gave to my mother, but maybe others as well. But these are I just gave it to my mother. Of course, will prove you the obvious thing. Two things can be proven very easily. First, that it was not subjected to radiation, because radiation does not, because I have the umbrella. And second, that in Israel, in general, the radiation is much weaker than in the rest of the world. This is the first issue. And just in a while, we'll get to the second thing that can be proven. So, why is it so? I've told you so many times. Of course, is that it's so. Why is Israel protected? It's very simple. I should repeat it again. My main objective right now is not to be the judge of humanity and not to punish the wicked and to give prizes to the righteous. This is not my main objective. My main objective is to be freed from the Nazi prison. Me and my two daughters, we need to be out of this hell. We want to live. We want to stop being tortured. Stop being tortured. Punishing the Israelis for their crimes will not help this objective at all. They will only become more and more cruel towards us and probably will kill us eventually. This will not serve our main objective. The only way that this objective will be advanced is by movement of arms and legs of foreign powers. But we cry and we shout for so long, for so many years, and not an arm is moved and not a leg is moved. So there was no other way than to start frying the earth. Not Israel, because this will not help. Nothing that you will do to the Israelis will change them. They cannot be changed. They are lizard people. Any punishment for Israel right now will only make the cruelty towards us worse. Our objective is not to suffer more by the hand of the Israelis. Our objective is to be free from the Nazi prison. We hope, even though it's not assured, we hope that enough radiation throughout the earth perhaps will convince someone that perhaps the time is right to stop the movement of the mouth and the tongue and to start, finally, the movement of arms and legs. Because without foreign movement of arms and legs, me and my daughters will be slaves forever in the Nazi prison. That is why it makes total sense to fry the earth, but to spare Israel. It completely makes sense. If you just, for a while, if you will stop thinking about me as yet another Jesus that should be crucified, but instead think of me as a sentient, innocent being with two innocent children that are being tortured by monsters, and that it's your moral duty to save us from these monsters. If for a moment you will see the reality in this way, which is the correct way, it will be completely clear to you why it makes total sense to fry the earth and not Israel. We want to be rescued from the Nazi prison. Of course, after we are out of the Nazi prison, Israel will be annihilated. Not only Israel, also big portions of the United States and other places as well. But this objective will be pursued only after the main objective is accomplished. And the main objective is to rescue me and my daughters from the Nazi prison. The best time to do it is right now. Right now. Any time that is not right now is less than optimal. This is first. The second thing that you can gather from these paintings is, of course, the Neros. Now, this is different between paintings. Of course, the oil medium is actually very good to preserve Neros, and there is much oil in those paintings. So presumably any kind of painting that I've done with oil, and it's almost all of them, will contain Neros, because probably I walk slowly, so it must have been like my speed is actually, speed or sweat is probably found in like microscopic levels in each of the paintings. So probably all of them contain some kind of any quantity of Neros. But I would guess that probably the most common and the easiest to find, I would probably guess, I'm not certain, but I guess that it's the paintings that have like the drawing in the other side in the symbolic language, like the two ones that I sold to my mother. Because these paintings, because not all of them have it, but many have it, and typically almost all of these drawings were made long after the actual painting was the main side was done, like between like a month or several months, because it was like a secondary. It was after the first one side dried. It was like a secondary drawing that used the symbolic language, and this was done typically without gesso. Gesso is like a typical. It's like the typical thing that's used on canvases. So it's done without gesso, but usually with acrylic background, not gesso, over like a bare canvas, and these drawings. Yes, the background is acrylic, but the drawings are almost always made from oil. Not always, but many times made with oil. And the oil preserves, and I guess that you can find the most Neros in these kind of like in these elements. Also, many of the paintings, especially those with the other side, where is the drawings, with the drawing the other side. Yeah, they have all sorts of like fingerprints. Now, fingerprints is something that I've done only with oil, because it's better to be done with oil than acrylic. And this is pretty much it's like a heavy like layer of oil. And I would guess that it's almost certain that you can find Neros in those, because it's pretty thick layers of oil, and it was taken from probably with reminiscences of sweat from my fingers. So you should find like very small amount, but with like a good microscope and some patience, you should find some Neros in it. Later, very late in my painting career, I actually, this was when I already started like the research, after the house, when I was already in house arrest, I started to think about like the concept of actually mixing Nero juices with oil paint. And I've actually done it in my mother's apartment, and also here in the hostel. But I've done it when I've done it in my mother's apartment, it was just before I was arrested for the second time, and I don't even recall if I've done anything with these mixtures, and actually she didn't bring it here. And now I have several mixtures of here, but I haven't used it for any painting, because I don't paint here because I don't have the conditions. So if I've used this material, this would have been like for sure full of Neros, because it was created for this specific purpose of like painting with the Nero mix. But I just didn't get to it. It was a very late idea. So the Neros that you can find in my paintings currently are only ones that were there by mistake, or by accidentally so. Either from my sweat or my saliva, or when I used fingerprints, maybe it was transferred to the medium and preserved well inside the oil. Typically, it's not just linseed oil with pigments, but it's with some kind of solvent. And if I used turpentine, it's less than Uptemal, because turpentine is very corrosive, even for Neros. But other solvents like linseed oil in itself, or the brand types of liquid, or there are other types. They are not corrosive, and they. I'm certain that Neros not only can survive in it, but actually it's like even a good medium to store these Neros. So that's it.